What's going on, everyone? It's time to talk about a whole pile of sci-fi movies I found. I found a whole pile of weird ones to talk about, so let's get to it. The first one is actually a film called Existence or Existence, or so many people say it differently, but I'm just going to call it Existence. Yeah, it was released by Dimension Films April 23rd, 1999, and it stars Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jude Law. And it was produced, written, and directed by David Cronenberg, one of my all-time favorite directors, who's done The Fly, the 1986 remake. He's also done Crash, Videodrome, Scanners, and a whole pile of other great films. Naked Lunch. He's quite the bodily horror guy. He's also done Dead Ringers that I reviewed like a month or two ago. So yeah, and this had a budget of $15 million, and then this film was a colossal flop because it only made $2.9 million back. um, yeah, but so Existence follows some tech students and stuff. And one of them developed a simulation game where you get a surgical implant and you plug in this certain controller, which looks like a fleshy Xbox controller, and then you go into this virtual realm and you play as yourself, but you try to progress through the game and stuff, and a lot of weird things happen. There's like little dragons, bone guns, and weird things like that. And but something else starts causing havoc, and someone is disrupting the system and how it's going. One guy gets like a disease and it corrupts some of it, and it starts taking on its own forms and stuff. Now, this film is a little complex and weird. It's hard to describe, but um, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that because it'll just get confusing and convoluted. But for the most part, I was not a fan of this film. I was pretty disappointed with it, to be honest. The concept seemed interesting and stuff, and then like halfway through the movie, I'm just bored out of my mind because it's so basic, so spoon fed everything to you, and it's just like, okay, can we get on with something interesting? And the very little interesting aspects of it are minimal, at best. There's a lot of things that don't progress the story, and pointless characters that just die and have no meaning. And it just gets redundant and it keeps going and going. This is definitely not my favorite David Cronenberg film. This is probably one of my least favorites of his. And yeah, and like the gore and the bodily disfigurements and stuff were very minimal in this. And the characters were so bland. I did not. There's no one really likable. It's all a depressing state, it seemed. And it was just a boggy, rundown mess of a film. And I see why it didn't do well. I really do. It's rare for me to agree with like what majority of people say on films and stuff like that. But this one was definitely a disappointment. It definitely wasn't for me. I could see that there's certain people out there that would love these type of films. It's sort of like Stay Alive, the game, the video game movie, but yeah, with a little more realism and a little more bodily disfigurement. But it's a little far fetched, but first, somehow they grounded in reality a bit because there's a lot of like nods to like things that were happening at the times that can relate to it and stuff, but the story itself kind of just is stagnant for most parts, and they kind of just pad it out with very little payoff. This definitely was not one of my favorites at all. I found it was just straight boring, which is the ultimate sin a film can do with an audience, is bore them. And yeah, sadly, this one's probably the one David Cronenberg film that bored me. So yeah, because you majority of the other films that I've seen by him, I absolutely adore it, and they're in my top 10 lists and stuff like that. And this one definitely will probably be in my top 10 boring films, but yeah, there were some pretty interesting practical effects and some cheesy moments that made some parts entertaining and stuff, but this one was definitely reaching out a little too far in obscure land for me, and it's definitely not for me. You can find this one on Shudder, check it out if it sounds like something you might be interested in, but yeah, Definitely existence was not my cup of tea for sure. I'm gonna give existence a 1.5 out of 5 just because I wasn't into it and it wasn't really for me. So sadly, it's not that weird. It's a little odd and obscure. It's kind of good for this time of year, but um yeah, it just wasn't for me. So that's all I gotta say about the film Existence. There is a trailer link down below. If it sounds like something you might be interested, you can check it out. The trailer kind of portrays it the same way the movie does. So if you don't like the trailer, you probably won't like the film. So yeah, definitely check out the trailer first before you check out the movie. Link down below. Also, my Instagram is always linked down below, where I always post clips of films I'm going to review in the future on my story, and I usually have the film title on a hashtag and the subgenre film and a hashtag, so yeah, follow me there to stay in the loop. Or you could also follow me on Letterbox at Derek P. Reviews. That's where I post my first star rating of any film on there as well. Like I said earlier, you can find this one on Shudder. If it appeals to you, sounds like it might appeal to you, it's on there too. This isn't sponsored by them, but yeah, it's on there. Also, I do have a look through the comments. You'll see my first opinion right after watching the film. I usually post it on there, so just look for my name with no spaces, Derek Peterson, and yeah, and I usually put the skull rating there too. So yeah, like this video, share it so more people are aware of it if they might be interested in it. Comment your opinions of the film down below. Let me know what your favorite Cronenberg film is down below. I'd love to hear your opinions on that and on this film. And if you have any films at all that you want to hear my opinions on in the future, comment those down below. I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can, and if I can find them. And hopefully they're better than this one. So we'll see how it goes. I got a whole pile of other sci-fi films to catch up, and oh boy, it's going to get good because we're going to be talking about a lot of asylum movies, and a lot of those are probably as bad as this one, but we'll see how that goes. Usually some hidden gems, so we'll see. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe, and yeah, watch out for all those mutated humans trying to suck people into gaming. And I guess I'll see you all in the next review, which should be up shortly. So I guess I'll see you all then. Cheers.